Yeah, I'm a filthy little greasy goblin today. Clearly, I haven't showered yet, and maybe I won't shower today. That's the beauty of being an adult. I get to make my own gross choices. But what I'm choosing to do before showering, at the very least, is talk about the most wild development in any drama situation I've seen so far. Across the entirety of my time on the internet, I haven't seen drama reach this climax before. I'll go ahead and speed run the breakdown of the chess cheating drama that's been going on for over a month now. I've been following it since the Genesis. It has been a non-stop, action-packed, wild and wacky ride straight into fucking drama Valhalla. It has been the gift that just keeps on giving. The carved wood drama is unlike anything I've seen before. It all started when Hans Niemann played Magnus Carlsen at a tournament. Hans Niemann beat Magnus Carlsen, which was a surprise to the entire chess world since Magnus Carlsen is the best. And then Magnus Carlsen made a loose accusation of cheating against him. The entire chess community then started accusing him of cheating against Magnus in order to win. That's when the anal bead cheating theory was hatched. Some people speculated he may have had Stockfish, a chess engine, stuffed into a small butt plug that he inserted into his asshole before the tournament, which fed him the correct moves. This was more or less just a meme theory, but a lot of people truly believed Hans Niemann was cheating. Eventually, it came out that Hans Niemann did actually cheat in online games. Hans Niemann even confessed openly to cheating in online games, but maintained his innocence in over-the-board physical chess matches. And then Chess.com came out with evidence against Hans Niemann that he has cheated in more online games than he initially let on, including online games for tournament money, and more than he had initially said to the community. And that's where the drama had stopped until today, where Hans Niemann published this lawsuit going after all of the people that have been very staunchly against him and hard accusing him of cheating. A $100 million lawsuit has just been filed by Hans Niemann against Magnus Carlsen, Magnus Carlsen's company, Play Magnus, Danny Rench and Chess.com, and Hikaru Nakamura. A $100 million minimum lawsuit. Now, this is a defamation case. Hans alleges that all of the cheating accusations he's been slapped in the face with have had a detrimental impact on his career and his reputation, and also are hindering his future in the profession that he's dedicated so much time for, which is obviously true. I think there is somewhat of a real concern of being blacklisted from tournaments going forward just based off the reputation as a whole. But also, Magnus Carlsen said he refuses to play Hans Niemann. The last time the two met each other after this cheating scandal, Magnus Carlsen resigned after 2 moves. He just fucking rage quit. Man just fucking disconnected the Ethernet cord and left the Call of Duty lobby. He just outright immediately forfeited because he just refuses to play Hans Niemann, believing that he's a cheater. So this means that if a tournament wants to have Hans Niemann and Magnus Carlsen competing, they really can't. They'll have to choose one or the other, because if the two meet again, Magnus will likely just flip the board once again. So this could absolutely impede Hans Niemann's career going forward, as well as the opportunities and tournaments he can play for. Now again, I really do want to drive this home. While Hans Niemann has publicly confessed to cheating and Chess.com has publicly come out with more evidence to confirm his online cheating, he still 100% maintains he's never cheated in over-the-board chess, and as of this moment, there is still not concrete 100% confirmed proof that Hans Niemann has cheated in over-the-board chess or cheated against Magnus Carlsen. And we may never know if he did. You know, we can't go back in time and spread his butthole in front of the camera and check if there's anything there. We just don't have that ability to do that yet. Now, I do want to mention there have been studies run on Hans Niemann's performance, and some of them raise some concerns amongst the community. There also have been chess engine correlation reports run on Hans Niemann's games to see how many of his moves correlate to moves engines would make. But all of these, as I understand them, aren't definitive proof that he is cheating. So we just don't know for sure yet. Everyone's going to have different opinions on it, and it's just such a messy situation. And now we have this lawsuit to dissect. So, like I mentioned, he is suing some of the people that have been hard accusing him of cheating for at least $100 million. I'll go ahead and stand up in front of the class and read it out loud. Accordingly, Niemann is entitled to a money judgment against defendants in an amount to be determined at trial, but not less than $100 million, including compensatory, consequential, and punitive damages. So this is where the at least $100 million comes from. It looks like, he's not going to settle for anything shy of $100 million. He won't even get out of bed for anything below 9 figures here. which seems like a lot right away. I bet you could add every single chess player's winnings for the last 100 years together and it wouldn't even come close to 100 mil. So this number is shooting for the stars here. And just for reference, here's the top 10 all-time prize money winners. They're not even breaking 10 mil. So it really seems like that number is way out of proportion here. Hans Niemann could play chess professionally for the next 1,000 years and never even come close to earning $100 million. So those damages seem outrageous, but I'm not a lawyer, and from what I understand, this is very normal in defamation cases where they just put an absolutely astronomical number there just to try and get as much juice for the squeeze as possible and make it like as big and scary and intimidating as it can be. I don't think they're actually hoping to get that much. Wherefore, Niemann hereby requests that the court grant the following relief. On the first cause of action, money judgment in favor of Niemann against defendants, the specific amount of which to be determined at trial, but not less than 100 million plus prejudgment interest. And then B, second cause of action, same thing, no less than 100 mil plus prejudgment interest. Point C, third cause of action in favor of Niemann, not less than 100 million plus prejudgment interest. Point D is a little bit different. Money judgment in favor of Niemann against defendant, specific amount of which to be determined at trial plus prejudgment interest. This doesn't have 100 million listed there for some reason, but it's the exact same wording. And then point E, fifth cause of action, no less than 100 mil. Now, this is where my little reptile brain started to malfunction and overheat here, because it looks to me like it's 4 separate asks of 100 million each, which would be a $400 million total. And that's how a lot of other people interpreted it as well. But after doing a little more research and seeing what a lot of lawyers are saying about it, it appears that these 4 things that list 100 mil as like the damage is if any of these 4 are found to be truthful, then any one of them should amount to 100 million in relief to Hans. At least that's how some of the lawyers have broke it down. Basically, the reason it's there 4 times is if any of these are found true, then it should be 100 mil, and it's not going to stack. So if multiple are found true, it'll still just be 100 mil. It's not like additional or anything like that. So I'm going to run with that because that's what makes the most sense to me once it was explained. I don't know if I'm doing it justice and explaining it to you guys, but it looks like the total is 100 million, not 400. Either way, though, that is still a super duper high amount to be suing for here. Now, after reading and watching some lawyers break this down, most of them were giving their perspective on whether or not this is even like a winnable case in any capacity for Hans Niemann, because there are some sections of this lawsuit that are just downright weak that they point out, but also some of it just reads like an angry blog post from like a salty soccer mom in a couple places. Like there's a whole section where they just put in parentheses king of chess when referring to Magnus Carlsen and talking about him being a coward or a sore loser who couldn't accept losing to Hans Niemann. So things like that stood out to me as like, wow, that doesn't sound professional. I wouldn't expect to see that kind of language in a lawsuit. But the lawyers were more focused on whether or not this was a legitimately winnable case. And most of them agree that the lawsuit does actually have some bite to it, but not all of it. So Hikaru Nakamura being listed here seems like that's completely a lost cause. They were kind of scratching their head on that one because in order for Hans Niemann to win against Hikaru, he'd have to prove that Hikaru knew Hans wasn't cheating, knew the evidence wasn't legitimate evidence, and then still accused him of cheating anyway. Which of course sounds impossible to prove. But his claims against the Magnus Carlsen and Play Magnus as well as Chess.com, most of them were saying there is a chance for Hans Niemann to squeak out a victory here because there isn't actual evidence to prove he's cheated at the moment. So it would all come down to discovery. Most of them were saying discovery will be like the actual deciding factor in how this case goes because they're going to need to prove that they have real evidence that Hans is cheating in over-the-board chess, at least according to some of the lawyers I've watched. Otherwise, Hans Niemann does have a case against them for the defamatory statements of cheating and the accusations and implying that he's cheating because it's such a reputationally damaging thing that impedes his ability to compete further. Overall, though, what a crazy development in this whole chess cheating scandal drama. We started from anal beads and now look at us. Yeah, this shit is just going insano style. So yeah, just wanted to drop that hot plate of spaghetti and meatballs on the table for you here because, wow, that's really about it. See ya.